Welcome back to another episode of Bullyball. Got a drama-filled week this week for sure, That's one thing about the Niners. They'll never stop giving us content. You got to love it. You got to love it. How you doing over there in Florida, Joe?
Doing good, like you said. Crazy week. A lot of stuff happened. We are focused on the players getting back in the building. And yeah, that wasn't the main focus this week. So we'll dive into that.
Good thing is football's one step closer, So we're gonna go over this Juwan Kinlaw drama with Grant Cohn. We'll go over the one day of OTAs that was open to the media. We're also going to touch on a couple other small things that we have some 2 cents on. Besides that, let's jump into it.
Tony Montana, check up on my ear. Tony Montana, I'm about to cut the...
All righty, as I'm sure everybody's already heard, Juwan Kinlaw and Grant Cohn got into some beef this last week, It made national news. I was talking to one of my buddies, and he's a close friend of Juwan Kinlaw from back home, and he was hoping that it wasn't going to get to the big Bleacher Report, ESPN, but I told him, it probably is, because it was early when this happened. It was late at night. And then next thing you know, it's everywhere. So I'll let Joseph kind of break it down a little bit for you guys.
So basically what had happened from what I have seen, we weren't there, so we don't 100% know. But Grant Cohn was at the open OTA the one day last week, and supposedly Kinlaw went up to him. Grant Cohn said Kinlaw walked up behind him, and Kinlaw said he walked up in front of him. Who knows? No, we don't know what was said or what had happened, but somehow Kinlaw ended up hitting the hat off of his head, somehow off of Grant Cohn's head. And then Grant Cohn went on to make some videos about it, how he does on the field, talking his normal smack or whatever you want to say, his reporting. Whoever, I don't take sides, whatever you guys want to say, if you're a Grant Cohn fan or Kinlaw fan. And then Grant Cohn had a live podcast that night, and it was about like the OTA, and he was talking about Kinlaw a little bit and what had happened. And then Kinlaw drops in the comments and says, "Send me the link." And then so he sends a link, and he thinks it's fake at first, and then Kinlaw pops up on the stream like how we are right now, and you could tell Kinlaw had just at that point he had had enough, and he said some stuff that probably you shouldn't say, but I see both sides of it. I see you have a guy that's badgering you, and you're just trying to play football, and you're getting badgered. Oh, you 90-year-old knees. Oh, you only have one knee. Oh, he'll never play. Oh, you trade a better player for him. And then, yeah, so I get both sides, and then Grant Cohn is obviously trying to make money. He's a reporter. You got to make the headlines, whatever. But anyway, so that whole debacle happened. Crazy things were said. Some people were saying Kinlaw was going to get cut, stuff like that. But then the next day, John Lynch had a meeting in his office with Kinlaw and Grant Cohn. They sat down, talked it out, supposedly good to go. Kinlaw then posted after saying he only did that for the team. And then he removed it, though. And the one good thing to come from this is all of the 49er players, like major 49er players, went to back up their teammate. And they didn't just back up their teammate. They also backed themselves up because, Grant Cohn really does badger players at times, and he says some things, he's at that line of like, is this too far or is this just being critical? And sometimes you feel like he's over, sometimes you feel like he's under. And, as you can see, all the 49ers were like, hey, yeah, we agree with Kinlaw. He might have said not the way you should have said it, but we understand where he's coming from. And it was just crazy. So what was your thoughts on the whole thing once it all played out?
Yeah, it's a unique situation for sure. Something you probably never see again in your life. As Niner fans know, Grant Cohn, a lot of people you can tell in the organization don't like him, including Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, because he'll ask stupid questions. He'll ask questions that are meant to aggravate you or to get certain headlines, even though they said we're not going to answer questions about this. So a lot of people don't like Grant Cohn already. They just haven't said it. And Kinlaw said on that live, like, I'm going to step up for the people that won't say anything. Like, I'm going to say this to you because I'm tired of it. And, Kinlaw has a lot of pressure on him already, being a first-round pick. He was hurt all of last year for the majority of it, at least. Replacing an all-pro player in DeForest Buckner. So he has a lot of pressure on him to perform this year. And he has been hurt, and he's trying to rehab. And even though he's an NFL player, he's still human. So he's still going to. Can you hear me?
Hello? Yeah, you cut out.
Oh, yeah, my screen went black. Kinlaw said Kinlaw's family knows who Grant Cohn is because of all the stuff that he said about Kinlaw. Like his family sees it in the headline. So of course that's gonna aggravate you. They're like, oh, what's going on with your knee? This dude said this about you, whatever. So of course, Kinlaw, like I said, is human. He's gonna see this stuff and he's gonna get mad. I think they're both in the wrong. I think Kinlaw could have went about it a better way instead of being so aggressive. As a player, you can't go at the media like that. But on the same token, Grant Cohn can't be doing that either. His takes are almost like stupid. It's just for the headlines. Sometimes I look at him and I'm like, how is this dude a credentialed media member? Because of some of the stuff that he says, So it's interesting for sure. Kinlaw is obviously not going to get cut. He said he apologized. I wish after they apologized or whatever, and Grant Cohn said that Kinlaw wouldn't have went onto Instagram after and been like, oh, I just shook your hand for this. I wish he would have just left it, just dropped it at where it is. So that's, interesting situation for sure. But hopefully it's all resolved now, and hopefully we don't have to hear about it again.
And I agree. Grant Cohn, he has some, when he's reporting on like practices and stuff, it's great. He gives you the details you need, good breakdowns, whatever. But then he comes out with these ludicrous, like, oh, this player will never be good again because he tore his Achilles. Oh, that, like, it's to a point where you can talk about injuries and players not performing up to a certain level, but you can't cross the line, and he does that sometimes. But at the same time, like you said, Kinlaw, he just blew up, and maybe now they'll both have learned, and we'll see what happens. But
And a lot of Niner players, key Niner players, Eric Armstead, Kittle, Deebo Samuel, among Brandon Ayuk, there's a bunch of Niner players
Mostert, Pettis,
Tyreek Hill, not even on the team, even said it, that they backed Kinlaw because Grant Cohn was doing like this stuff, going at players, so I mean, it's good to see that the team is up to help their teammates. You know what I mean? Like they're not just abandoning him. So that was good to see.
All right, and then now let's dive into that OTA practice that day that all the drama happened. So I took down a couple of notes, of what the reporters were saying was happening. So obviously all eyes were on Trey Lance. Everyone wanted to see, did the throwing motion change? The accuracy. It was all just 7-on-7, no pass rush, nothing going on. People were saying 15 of 17 in like 7-on-7, 11-on-11 drills, but it was all short throws, nothing deep down the field at all. And people were saying, his release looked shorter, but Shanahan came out after practice and said, no, we didn't have him work on shortening the release. It looks the same to me. How do you feel? Did you see any Trey Lance? What did you think of him?
Yeah. I know Trey Lance said in like one after the practice that his finger was damn near broken or something pretty much the whole year. And that towards the end of the year, it ended up getting almost 100%, but still wasn't there. So he said that could have been another reason why, like, maybe he was throwing a little weird because he couldn't finish, like, throwing the ball off of one of those fingers. So that's something interesting because he still played pretty well even with the hurt finger, I would say. So that's definitely intriguing. It's good to see. I thought his throwing motion looked regular. I didn't think it was anything too crazy, but people are going to be hypercritical right now of him no matter what. No matter what. I did see like a Justin Fields clip from their practice, and they said he looked terrible. Like his wind up and everything looked god awful. So that's at least Trey Lance isn't there.
Well, I have something to say. Well, you'll see. You'll see. Just wait. It'll come in a little bit.
But yeah, besides that, I don't think there's too much.
Another big play that had happened, they said it was the big play of the day, was who's the second string quarterback? I forgot his name. Slipped my mind.
Nate Sudfeld.
Yeah, Nate Sudfeld threw a bomb to Malik Turner for a touchdown, and the person he had burned was George Odom playing safety. That doesn't bode too well for him early on, because also reports coming out were saying Hufanga looks like he's taking the jump from year 1 to year 2. And Hufanga, he was decent last year in the box. When he was playing deep, he's not the fastest. He doesn't have the speed to keep up with the guys, but in college he was instinctual. So what do you think about Hufanga making that leap from year 1 to year 2 and becoming an impact player at safety?
Yeah, like we said in the last pods before too, that we are kind of worried about Hufanga having to play over top. Because like we said, he was good in the box. And I remember when he was coming out of college, like when we drafted him, they were like, oh, is he going to play some type of linebacker or safety hybrid role? So now we'll really see if he can play over the top, which will be something to watch during this camp. But I think another thing was I remember when we signed George Odom, and we thought it was like a good signing until I did some research, and they said he was like one of the worst safeties in coverage. Like they said he was super good in the box, but when it came to coverage, he was one of the worst safeties. So that doesn't really surprise me at all. Not at all, really. So I think it'll be interesting though, because I did about Tarvarius Moore. I saw he was out there, intriguing. He looked pretty big. Bigger than I remember.
Another takeaway that we had was Ambry Thomas. They said the positional coaches said, he got stronger this year because coming out of college, he had that year off. He had that illness where he lost like 20 pounds and then he had to play immediately. So they said he got stronger over this offseason. In Aaron Banks, they said he reshaped his whole body, over 330 pounds last year. Not sure what he's at now, but they said, those 3 second-year players look much different heading into their second year, and we should see a big impact from all of them. What do you
Yeah,
think about those
definitely.
players?
We need them all to step up. They all need to make impacts this year because we didn't fill their positions really with anything else. So we need an impact from them. I also saw that Brandon Ayuk, they said, was kind of stepping up and taking like a leadership role without Debo there, which is good to see because I think we might see the leap this year that we were expecting him to take last year. I think he's going to have a great year this year with or without Debo. I think Ayuk's going to have a good year with Trey Lance. Trey Lance hitting them deep balls. Brandon Ayuk's one of the best route runners on the team for sure, if not the best. So I think he's going to have a great year, and it's good to see that he's in his third year in the NFL, only his third year, he's stepping up and taking like a leadership role within the wide receiver room, which is very good to see.
Great. Talking about pass catchers, Juwan Jennings, they said he was a catching machine out there at OTAs. I think they said they threw him between 4 and 6 passes, and he caught all of them, or he didn't catch one, something like that. Same thing with Ross Dwelly. They said he was catching everything that was thrown his way. So, as you could see, Trey probably actually played a lot with both of them now that I think about it last year, because Juwan Jennings wasn't starting early on, and Ross Dwelly was a backup tight end. So he probably actually practiced with them a lot last year, and so he already has that rapport with them, which that makes a lot more sense now that I think about it. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's interesting. The battle for the third receiver position is going to be a fun one to watch during this offseason. You have Juwan Jennings, who came on very hot last year at the end of the year, just like the third down machine, physical, mossing people in the Cowboys games, like multiple games of him just making big plays. So you have Juwan Jennings, you have the new signee this offseason, Ray McLeod, and you also have Danny Gray. So it'll be interesting to see who's going to end up with that spot. Who right now, just going off right now, who would you say is going to be the third wide receiver?
I think it's Juwan Jennings no matter what happens. You know what I mean? I think Ray McLeod probably going to be your gadget type guy where like, end around, get him open short, get him space, screens, stuff like that. Danny Gray, I believe, will be in that Travis Benjamin role. Like, hey, we need to run the safety off. Just run straight, run as fast as you can. Juwan Jennings, I think, is going to have a bigger role this year than he had last year. And, he makes those critical plays, and you need that with a young quarterback.
And I think a big thing, too, that bodes well for Juwan Jennings, Ayuk, some of the bigger guys is if there is these real questions about Trey Lance's accuracy and everything, having a bigger body receiver or tight end is going to help out a lot because they're going to have a bigger catch radius. That was a big thing that Shanahan was huge on Ayuk coming out of college was he has a huge arm span. And then Juwan Jennings is what, like 6'3", probably 6'4", something.
He's like 6'3".
Yeah, big body. So I could, like we said, I could definitely see them having bigger roles this year than they did last year. And then Ross Dwelly, that doesn't excite me. It's Ross Dwelly. The dude got beat out by Charlie Warner. Yeah, I've said this whole offseason, I wanted us to address tight end a little bit better. But we did sign 2 tight ends, one Troy Fumagalli, and then another guy recently, Tyler Kroft. Yeah, so we'll see if those guys can do any damage.
So, they talked about Alex Mack again. They said he's still overseas. at the moment. What do you think? You think he's coming back right now, or do you think he's retiring?
I think he's probably gone, realistically. Shanahan said, we have a good understanding of what he's doing right now, and you guys should too. Talking about the media should have a good idea as well. So I think that's kind of hinting he's not here right now. He's still overseas. He's not coming back. So that's going to be extremely interesting because our O-line last year with him wasn't the best. So now you're losing Laken Tomlinson, Alex Mack, and then Brunskill. McGlinchey's coming off injury. Really, the only solidified starter you have there is Trent Williams.
And then Trent deals with injuries.
Yeah. And then the other four are going to be pretty much new starters. Do you throw Brunskill at center and then open up those two guard spots for competition? Do you leave Brunskill at guard? Maybe bring in that center from the Browns, J.C. Treader, I think his name was.
Yeah.
I know he's hot on a lot of people's medias right now. So it'll be interesting to see how they address that once the official word comes out that whatever Mac's doing. But I'm going to assume he's gone. And I would assume that they will start Brunskill at center because the 49ers center usually has a lot more responsibilities than a lot of the other O-linemen. So you don't want to throw a rookie in there. You kind of want to have somebody that has been in the system, knows the play calls, can identify the mic, stuff like that. So I would assume Brunskill goes to center. And then at guard, left guard, going to have Banks. And then right guard probably have Jalen Moore, Spencer Burford, McKivitz maybe, or is he tackle? Or is he both? Tackle guard.
I think McKivitz played more tackle last year, if I remember correctly.
He filled in for Trent Williams, right? That one game that Trent Williams was hurt. So if Mac is gone, that right guard position is going to be extremely interesting, and the center is going to be interesting.
Don't sleep on Nick Leakey. They've been watching him for 6 years.
Yeah, that guy. Stuff's ridiculous. Jason Poe, too. Still got Poe, Donovan West.
Also, I would not, it wouldn't shock me if we get news towards the end of this week on what he is doing. Because remember, after June 1st is when he can retire and it saves him some money. Same thing with D Ford. June 1st is Wednesday. So I would expect a couple roster moves on that day.
I saw something interesting, an interesting tweet that kind of made my brain wonder about it a little bit. They said that Niner fans are bugging right now saying that we didn't address center. But we got Donovan West undrafted. But let's say the 49ers drafted Donovan West in the 3rd round. Then Niner fans wouldn't be bugging about it. They'd be like, yeah, we addressed center. We got him in the 3rd round. Do you think that holds true, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I wanted them to address center as well. I was looking around, I think it was round 3. I think there was maybe, I don't remember 100%, but it was Luke Fortner and who was that other guy we liked at center? I don't remember his name, but
Cam Jurgens went early.
Yeah, Cam Jurgens went early. I think Luke Fortner went early too before our 3rd round pick.
Yeah,
and at that point,
2nd round sometime.
Yeah, at that point, I was like, you know what? There's nobody here that really I feel like is too much of an upgrade. Because I did watch a lot of Donovan West, and I did tell you, I didn't see what a lot of people were saying, the high grades, just based on the athleticism I saw, really didn't move people off the mark. He more just got in their way type of play style. I do believe 49er fans would have been happy, if we took him early. And since he was undrafted, they are, complaining. And it makes sense. But at the same time, I think it was right of the 49ers to not draft a center. I don't think there was anyone there. And we don't even know because that one guy made the team last year as the backup center.
Jake
What's his
Brendel.
name? Yeah, Jake Brendel. We don't know. He could be good. We don't know. Everyone's saying, oh, Donovan West. Oh, they need to get JC Treader, but none of us actually know anything about Jake Brendel. So
Yeah, and Luke Fortner went the first pick of the 3rd round, so we took
All
Drake
right,
Jackson
yeah.
over him. Yeah, you did say, I do remember you saying that you were impressed with Donovan West in terms of like technique. You said he wasn't
Yeah.
very athletic, but he was very good with his technique. He was a technician, not like a downhill, type of dude. Which the 49ers do covet is the like technician guys, not the crazy dudes that are just gonna phone booth beat you like that. So
The one play, though, that of the 49ers last season that I could think of that the center made a huge impact, where I don't think Donovan West could have done what Alex Mack did, is the play when it was either, I think it was Trey Lance keeping it, running left, and Trent Williams just tossed that dude in the end zone. Was that Green Bay?
Against the Packers right before halftime.
And you see Alex Mack shoot down the line, get to the linebacker, and get him out of the play. I don't believe Donovan West has that level of athleticism.
Yeah, that's interesting. Who knows? Maybe a year in the NFL locker room or in the NFL weight room, he can beef up, work on that athleticism a little bit. So that's something to watch for sure.
I believe he was the youngest player in this draft, though, as well. So there was something like that.
Donovan West?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with the O-line. That's going to be we're not going to know until the pads come on, because obviously you need to get those reps with the D-line. You need to see who's going to fit where. So that's going to be way down the line, but we'll see what happens with that. So I want to jump into these two. It's Trey Lance. That's what this season is about. And media has been bashing his name. People love him or they hate him. There's no, he could be good. He could be middle of the, no, it's like this dude's going to be terrible or this dude's going to be Josh Allen in the media. And so Emmanuel Acho, he's a reporter for like ESPN or something. I don't know who it is. But he went on and they were doing a confidence rating on quarterbacks. And it was on a scale of like 1 to 10. And he said their confidence rating for Trey Lance was a 2 out of 10. And he called him one play Trey. He only had one good play in him last year, according to him. And he said the same thing as what everyone else is saying. From what I'm hearing in the locker room and from people around the organization is he just ain't it. He ain't good. He can't play. And literally it's what we've been hearing from multiple people now, and I just don't believe it. What is your take on this whole everybody thinks Trey sucks? He ain't the quarterback. He ain't the guy.
Yeah, I don't believe any of it either, because the only time you've actually heard Niner players speak about Trey Lance, it was all good. It was all raving about him. George Kittle said that, like, get him a few reps, he's going to be a universal, like, generational player that you've never seen. And the 49ers don't leak things either. Like, before the draft last year, nobody knew if we were taking Mac Jones or Trey Lance. Like, literally, not even the players themselves. So the Niners don't leak anything from their front office. So you can't, I heard this, whatever. No. And all the players, like I said, have all been raving about him. Kittle, Trent Williams, they all, like, Mohamed Sanu even, have all said great things about Trey Lance. So I don't believe any of this, oh, the players are saying this or that. No, it's not true. Everybody believes in Trey that's inside that locker room. Just because this media people don't, it doesn't warrant anything to me.
And the good thing is during Trey Lance's interview that day of the OTAs, he said, look, someone asked him, like, how do you feel about the pressure from the outside media? And he's like, look, I don't, in the nicest way possible, I really don't give a shit what you guys say. That's basically what he said. So it's good to hear that from the young guy, you know. I think you're going to have your ups and downs. You know, Josh Allen was terrible for years. I think 2 years he was terrible.
They still made the playoffs, though, which I
Yeah.
can see happening for the Niners because the Niners also have a great team surrounding him.
But I think even just last year, you saw the potential, you know, and that takes me into my next point is like we saw those throws he was making. There's not many people that make those throws, you know, that cross field to Debo, that over the shoulder in the end zone to Ayuk that he couldn't bring in. There was a dot. That close coverage to Ayuk on the left hash. Remember, the guy was like draped on him and the ball had to be perfect for a first down. But that brings me to my next point. You remember the Chris Sims ranking of Trey Lance. You know, he was ranking the top 40 QBs in the league. What was Trey Lance again? 31?
No, I think it was like 26 or 27 or something.
So top 40 in the league, right? Let me break them down. So he's not done yet, but he's at like 20. So QB 40, Drew Lock. 39, Kenny Pickett. 38, Teddy Bridgewater. 37, Gardner Minshew. 36, Tyrod Taylor. 35, Davis Mills, that one's kind of funny too. You'll see why. 34, Tyler Huntley. 33, Geno Smith. 32, Sam Darnold. Right? 31, Trey Lance. 30, Jared Goff. 29, Tua Tagovailoa. 28, Marcus Mariota. The dude
who didn't even really play. Yeah.
27, Mitchell Trubisky. 26, Jameis Winston off an ACL. 25, Jalen Hurts. 24, Trevor Lawrence. 23, Justin Fields. 22, Zach Wilson. And 21, Daniel Jones. That's where he's at right now.
Yeah, that's just insane. When you think about it, everybody pretty much in the media besides him was saying that Davis Mills was the best like rookie quarterback out of all of them. And you have him lowest. Like Justin Fields, they said was terrible last year. Zach Wilson, terrible. Trevor Lawrence was not good. So these rankings, having Sam Darnold, Mitch Trubisky. I don't know why everybody's thinking Mitch Trubisky's like this generational player. I don't think they remember how he was with the Bears. He's not good. Sam Darnold's not good. Daniel Jones, not good. Like, these rankings just blow my mind. It makes no sense. One thing I did want to touch on before you touch on those rankings as well, it was good to see Trey Lance in that interview. Something that you didn't really see last year with him. You know, he just seemed a lot more confident, laid back. He was joking, you know, like it was good to see his demeanor was up, like his energy was high. It looked like he can really be himself now. I don't know if I mean, obviously, I think he even said it too in the interview that it was a different dynamic when Jimmy was there, of course, because, you know, you're always going to have a little bit of tension, even if you don't want to admit it. But it was good to see him, just like his confidence, he was laid back, making jokes. It was good to see. I like seeing that a lot.
Yeah, I did too. He seemed, you know, he's ready. He's ready to step into the role, even if he's not 100% ready on the field. You know, he's going to get there. But yeah, man, these rankings are just hilarious. You had Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson throwing like 4 interceptions a game at some point last year. And Davis Mills did look, you know, maybe like he was right behind Mac Jones as quarterbacks last year. Daniel Jones should not be an NFL starter, and he's at 21. Jared Goff above Trey Lance. Like I said, we only saw a spot time from Trey Lance, and he looked, at least you see the talent there, man. But the funniest thing about these rankings is Jimmy Garoppolo is still yet to be listed. He's going to be a top 20 QB on this list. And what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, everybody always has. I feel like everybody's always on opposite ends when it comes to Jimmy G. Either you think he's like a pretty good quarterback or you think he's like, no. So I'm not really surprised, you know, with Chris Sims. Obviously, how these rankings are going, I wouldn't be surprised if he's like top 15, something crazy. The one that blows my mind, like I said, is just Mitch Trubisky. Like, people forget who Mitch Trubisky was. Like, why do you, like, I don't know, just why? Why do you think he's going to be that good? Better than all the quarterbacks? I would 10 out of 10 times take Davis Mills over Mitch Trubisky. I would take Trey Lance over Mitch Trubisky. I would take so many of these players over Mitch Trubisky. It, like, makes no sense to me. But, yeah, like I said, Jimmy G, you know, it seems people are either really high on him or they're really low on him. So, I mean, it doesn't surprise me.
You know, hopefully, you know, the Carolina Panthers GM is like Chris Sims on this situation, man. Hey, you think he's top 15, take him, please. And, you know, I think Jimmy probably is top 20. You know, he's good at certain things, but he's so bad at certain things. And, like, that's what I think makes him not able to get over the hump, you know, of the Super Bowl or of the NFC Championship. Is the best quarterbacks are great at certain things, but then they're at least average at everything else. And Jimmy G is great at, you know, certain things, his throwing over the middle, whatever. And then he's just terrible with his decision making and his pocket presence and things of that nature, you know. And it's just, you know, Chris Sims' list, man, blew my mind. I was reading it and I was like, wow. But all I know is Trey Lance, his time is coming. You know, the media going to talk all the way up until that first game. Justin Fields versus Trey Lance. And that's his time to show, you know, I'm the guy. And if it's a bad showing, it's going to be tough because you know how the media is going to rip into him. But I don't think that's going to happen. But only time will tell.
He already outdueled Davis Mills when he played the Texans, and we won that one. You know, started off rough, but ended up reeling it in towards the end of that game. You know, it looked really good. Shanahan did say in an interview, too, that he expects Jimmy G to be traded eventually, but he did say it's not a guarantee, but he did. The fact that he's saying, like, yeah, I expect him to get traded, I think is pretty obvious that he's not going to be on the team come week 1. So keep your eye on that. And it did seem, you know, there was reports when Jimmy G got that surgery that the Niners were pissed that he got it. And that's what it's seeming like that now, like after all these comments that Shanahan and Lynch are making it seeming like they were blindsided by the decision to get surgery. So that's something interesting.
And I think after the trade or release or whatever is said and done, I think we'll actually hear, the whole story, and that'll be some good closure on the situation.
Maybe then too, if it's not done by that time, we hear a little bit more about the Deebo Samuel extension, because that's going to free up a lot of money. Deebo was in the Bay Area for the Golden State Warriors playoff game, so that was interesting to see. I guess he was with Jason Verrett courtside, so he did end up leaving though, so he's not in the Bay Area anymore. Something to keep your eye on as that situation plays out.
Yep, we'll see what happens. That's all I got for today's episode. You got anything else? Closing remarks?
Go check out our last few episodes. They've been some good pods, good information. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Keep showing some support for us. We're trying to push out the quality content for you guys this off season. Like I said, we're one step closer. I think you're going to have a little period, some little dead period here coming up, but then get to training camp, and then preseason's in August. So it's coming up fast, Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Yes, sir. We'll see you guys next episode.
Yep. Peace.
Send it back. Money.